I'll catch you.
Fill my life with happiness. You bring me joy with your grace. And
I'm cold-blooded, old hunters, I still fold them. Peel onions, bake pies, we brick oven. Talk game, homeschooled by old gunners. Black guards, ansars and road runners. Slugs and prayer rugs, no halal, haram. The mosque Quran, dawns the cons. I know them all, the laws of power. Know the God's degrees, the B's, the C's, D's and the triple OGs. I was raised on the blocks where the rocks got chipped off. Lift off when the flame hit the glass pipe. Flash ice, get your head taken clean off. Seem soft, fuck around, get your lunch took. Crooks, I ran with them, still I stand with them. Hoes we expose, and of course I ran in. I'm a man of honor, certain code I would die for. The Hawks out, licking shots like July 4th. Rasheed Chappell, Project City's home, 07055. Right now we here with Theorematic. Scriptures in my cerebellum, the book of Eli and Levi's, my Timbs unlaced, my LPs, LBs, I pin push weight to Don Cornell, Superfly.
It was gradual, you know, like in high school, we did the talent show, and then from that talent show, I just kept writing. I know there was a time, there was different people that had came into my life at different times that kind of pushed me, like my man Damon, right before he went away. We were sitting in the park one day. Like, well, the first time that he heard me rap, I remember we was at his house, and like people they fell out on the floor laughing at my rhymes. Like they was just like, oh shit, I can't believe how funny this is. But he was the only one to be like, yo, what you're talking about is crazy, but how you're putting it together is dope. Like you should stick with that. And then, you know, one of my best friends, my brother Sugar Hill, from the same projects as me, he didn't know I rap. And I remember I had let him hear me rap, and then we went down to the projects, and J just happened to be outside, and he was like, yo, she rap. And I started rapping, and that was like the forming of our group. Like that right then and there on that park bench was our group. And then from there, I just kept pursuing it. I kept having little wins, you know, like, oh, this person liked it, and I got to do a show here, and then I met this person, and it just was something that I felt was like more than a passion, like a calling, like I have to do this. So that's how it happened for me.
Hey yo, we chase glories, spark up to chase 40s, 6 buildings, 8 floors, a million stories. Heard them all, seen them all, they came before.
What solidified it for me? I mean, there was a moment, like I reflect on it now. I remember being at work one day, right? And this guy I work with, he used to put these showcases on in New York. And so he's like, yo, you gotta come rock at one of these showcases, right? And so I'm like, all right, no doubt. And so we did a couple of the showcases, and then one day he was like, he comes over to my desk and he drops a CD on my desk, right? The CD was Raheem DeVaughn. And he was like, yo, you should listen to this. Y'all need to work one day. I think y'all, he's like, he did a showcase for me a while back. I think y'all would be dope together. So fast forward maybe 2 years later, I'm in the studio with Kenny Dope. I've hooked up with Kenny Dope now. Now I'm at the point where, like, you know, I got my first single deal. And so he's like, he's going through music. And I'm like, yeah, who's that? He's like, oh, that's Raheem. That's like my little brother. I'm like, Raheem who? He's like, Raheem DeVaughn. And I'm like, yo, you know, he was like, yeah, I produced like 2 of his albums already. Now, the only song on the CD that he gave me that really jumped out to me was the song called You, which was produced by Kenny Dope and Terry Hunter. So in that moment, I'm like, yo, this shit was meant to be. Like, how is it that here I am, somebody that doesn't know Kenny, doesn't know Raheem, hands me a CD, and 2 years later, I'm working with him. Like, we're in the studio making music together. Like, that for me was like one of the moments I was like, oh, yeah, this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Know the math, we know the science, know the dealers, know the users, we know the buyers, know the highs, know the lows, we know the depths, know your role. Know
if you ask people that know me, they'll say I've always rapped like this, as far as like content. But as far as styles, like my Uncle Marv, remember Das Effects came out, and so it's Das Effects, it's the Fushnikins, it's all these crazy styles, right? And I remember my Uncle Marv used to take us down to Virginia Beach, like every spring break, right? So we playing our music that we like in the car or whatever. And I remember, I think at the time, I forget who the artist was at the time, but I'm like, yo, this is the best rapper ever. And now my Uncle Marv is like, you crazy. The best rapper ever is Rakim. And you know, we young, so we like, man, get out of here. Rakim, he's like, listen to me. Rakim is the best ever. He pops in a Rakim CD, and we listening, and we just like, you know, me, Ken, Rich, Rock, we all sitting in the car like, yeah, this is dope, right? So once I realized that, you know, styles fade, you know, for as dope as Das FX was, that wasn't going to, you know, unfortunately last the test of time. You know, so once I came into my voice as an artist, you know, this was the style that best fit my voice as an artist, you know, to kind of get my message across.
Black supremacists crack the Guinness, spark the lie. Salute me when I enter, my nigga, hold them up high. Survive cold wars and fiends with no teeth.
Yeah, he did the first 2 albums in the entirety. So he did everything on Future Before Nostalgia. He did everything on First Brick. And the process that he and I go through, specifically on the first album, was we would literally sit for 8-10 hours a day and just go through samples and just get the mood, get the feeling of like, yo, what would you write to this? What kind of idea? But yo, I always wanted to do a song like this, and kind of we piece it together that way. You know, First Brick, because the schedules was a little bit different, how we went about doing that. But like Kenny has, like he's a genius. You know, there's no other way for me really to, having been around people, from beat makers to now producers, and seeing the way that he goes about it and how he picks the certain types of samples that would best complement my voice and or style. And then also how he's able to push me, like on a record like, I would have never did a record like Shut 'Em Down. I would have never picked that. I would have never did a record like Break Loose. You know, that wouldn't have been something that I would have been looking to do. But to push me and say, okay, I think that you can go here with this. I think you can do something like this with that, you know? So, you know, his selection, like he has folders upon folders of music that he hadn't even sampled yet. Just original records that as a Rasheed folder. Like I'm gonna do these 30, I'm gonna do these 30, I'm gonna do these 30, and that's how, like, the whole process with that.
It's on his head, he wanted to live it up. Eat, smoke, drink it up. Even in his wildest dreams, he couldn't think this up. You know when karma come, and the llamas come.
This was like 2000, I met Kenny in 2008, I believe. 2008, I met him. I was working with a producer by the name of Malik. For those that don't know, Kenny is a legendary house producer. So Malik had gotten a production deal with Strictly Rhythm Records, right? This is one of the labels that Kenny put his music out through. And they were working closely. Me and Malik was working on hip hop. We were actually trying to get a deal through Fat Beats or Raucus or something like that. And so he said, yo, I'm gonna play your stuff for Kenny. I had no idea who Kenny was. I'm like, all right, you know, play it for him, right? He came back maybe a week later, whatever the case may be, and he was like, yo, I played it for Kenny. He loved it. Still, okay, whatever. You know, we still working on our stuff. And he's like, yo, Kenny wants to meet you. This is maybe another week. I'm still like, all right, cool. We meet Kenny. I don't know who he is. This Saturday was a Saturday. The Saturday that we met Kenny, Malik's like, yo, he sent a beat for you. Like he wants to hear how you rock on one of his beats. Still, whatever, right? I'm still like, whatever. I spit like a verse over one of his tracks, whatever the case may be. We do a quick mix. Kenny pulls up with DJ Terry Hunter. And we go to a flea market, they buy records. We go to a diner, we sit down, we eat, and we talking. And he's like, yo, I heard you like work with Marley, right? So now World Renown was a rap group from Passaic. When we was in high school, they were signed to Marley Marl, whatever. They had like he had like a Future Flavors radio show, which he did out of the crib. DJ ACL, who ran the radio stations from Passaic also. You know, we young, we coming up, yo, invites us up to the radio show. So we go up there and This is like my first exposure to a legend, Marley Marl. And I remember the first time meeting Marley, he's like, yo, like you remind me of a young Shan. So my head is huge, right? I'm feeling myself. And you know, me and Marley developed a cool relationship from that. Did some work with ACL, whatever the case may be. And so Kenny's like, I'm like, yeah, you know, I know Marley for a long time, whatever the case may be. And he's like, you know, maybe we could work, we could do something. Like, I'll send you some beats. You know, I know Malik is doing a production, whatever. All right, no problem. So I'm talking to him that day, and I'm like, I said, yo, I always had this idea about doing a song with somebody doing a beatbox. So he's like, yo, you should come to the studio like maybe next Monday. Biz is gonna be there. Biz, like Biz who? And it's like, you know what I mean? He's like, Biz Marquis, like that's my man. Fast forward to that day, go to the studio. There's some footage online somewhere. We're in the studio, Biz is doing a beatbox, but before they were mixing down another record before me and Biz got to do our thing. And so for like maybe an hour and a half, Biz is just kicking it to me. He's like, yo, I heard the shit that Kenny played for me is dope. Like, who's your crew? Telling me how you put the Juice Crew together, how important it is to have other artists test your blade, keep you sharp. And so, like, I'm soaking up all this game. Me and Biz lay down the record. Kenny's like, yo, there's this one record that you did with my lead that I really like. You know, I want to see if I can shop that. Shopped it, got the deal at Strictly Rhythm. That turned out to be the B-side, the A-side being Dope Music, produced by Kenny Dope. And got my little advance, you know, got the paperwork. And I don't know, our deal was set up that if we sell a certain amount of units, they would pick up the option to do an album, right? So we sold the amount of units that we needed to sell. And this is where me and Kenny's relationship changed, right? We would love to pick up, we want to do the album. We want to do an album. But the vision of what they had and what Kenny had and what I had for myself, it didn't line up. So we opted out of doing an album with Strictly Rhythm. And we went independent and did it ourselves. So that was the moment when I was like, okay, he fucked with me on a different level. Because here it is, other people's money, right? At minimum, right? The hell with their resources, their platform, their reach, is their money that we could use to do what we want to do. And he was like, nah, they don't have the proper vision for what it is I think that we could do and what this could become. And I was, fuck it, let's do it, you know? And then it was just, you know, independent, 50-50 split from there, he and I.
Stay on my P's and Q's.
I think it's about what is your definition of success, right? If you want to wake up every day at 2 o'clock, go to the studio and, you know, have the sneakers, have everything that you want, whatever, based off of music, then you've won, right? If that's what your definition of winning is, right? But if your definition of winning is I need 10 cars, then there's more work that you got to do. But I realized right from the single deal that the money wasn't crazy. You know what I mean? Like, I think my advance, like, maybe was $1,500, maybe. You know, it was a single deal. But I gave up because I've always been of this mindset. You know, I don't need much money up front because I want to own my master. I want to own everything. So the less amount of money that you give me up front, the less you have to recoup, which is one of the reasons I think why we hit our mark so quickly. Because whatever was offered, I don't need that much. Right? Like I'm already making money, right? My passport's already been stamped. I've already seen things. I've already traveled. I'm already living in places where people would be like, oh, they've made it or whatever the case may be. So it was like, that money was good. You know, it was, you know, booms, you know, I'm working all this time to get this music off and somebody just gave me a deal, you know, plus threw me a couple dollars to put in my pocket. And I know the mark that we got to hit to get to the album, we gonna knock that out. You know what I mean? So it was just like taking that money. It wasn't crazy money, you know, like even show money. Like, but my cut you know, when I think about it, compared to artists who are on a bigger scale, after everyone that they have to pay, it might not be that far off. You know, people that you hear on the radio, it may not be that far off. You know, a person say, oh, I get 30 grand a show. Do you though? After the booking agent is paid, after your manager is paid, after the DJ is paid, after the car service is paid, how much do you walk away with? You know? So, and we can do it independently. I know independent artists, man, that after everything is paid, you know, they do 200 dates a year, 220 dates a year. After everybody's paid, they're walking away with like $5,500 a show. So you do the math on that, you know? That's before they sold merch. That's before they made anything off their record being sold. Any features they did, they walking away with fucking $200,000 doing. And you've never heard them. You'll never hear them on the radio. They're not trying to get to the radio, but that's success. To me, they put out an album, they tour. They're on the road. No one's telling them when to put an album out. Nobody's telling them what to put on the album. Now, to me, that's living. Right? Or you want to be bound to a big entity that's telling you, oh, we got this producer, you're going to work with him. We got this pop star, she's going to do the hook. That's not even what I'm feeling. That's not even where I am musically. But if you want to have the control, I say independent is where it's at.
I hit the ground running like CeeLo Dice. A nigga handle money like T-Row Price, nigga.
I met OC at a show that I did, but I gotta. Before I get to Finesse, I got to give a shout out to DJ OG because he was like the A&R, the whole shit. I met OG first from DITC. I met him at a radio show that we did up in the Bronx. And OG took a liking to me right away. I had invited him out to do a show that I was doing in Jersey where I actually met Steve Royster. Shout out to Steve. And I remember that day because at the show, for some reason, I had gotten sick, like maybe 20 minutes before I was supposed to go on. And they like, yo, you still gonna go? I'm like, oh yeah, I'm rocking. Like, I don't care what's going on, I'm rocking, right? Get on stage, power through, I rock. I meet Lord Finesse via a FaceTime, him and Kenny in the studio. Finesse is like, yo, can you play me some of the joints? You know, I think you're dope, whatever, boom, boom, boom. Perfect, thank you. I'm extremely humbled. My cousin Latif, Lord Finesse was like his favorite rapper, right? You know, strictly for the ladies. I remember getting beat tapes with, oh my God, I can't think, the song is in my head right now. The other Lord, the one that Mac Miller used, that beat, it'll come to me as I keep talking. But writing rhymes, spitting rhymes over that, and maybe a week or two after I had first spoke to Finesse on the FaceTime, Kenny's like, yo, Finesse want to talk to you about something. I'm like, because I got his number at this time, but I haven't called him, I haven't texted him because I'm like a fan. And so Ness hit me and was like, yo, I want to know if like you would be interested in rocking at my birthday party. Now, he has never seen me perform. He's never seen me in the studio, nothing. But I put two and two together. OG, who saw me, must have told Ness, like, yo, this would be dope. And so I'm like, yes, like, hell yeah, I would perform at your birthday party. I get the flyer, right? The flyer come in the email. And I'm looking and there's Rasheed Chappell, Lord Finesse, and Rakim. And I'm like, yo. Rakim is like, he's like, yeah, I think it would be a good succession. And I'm like, okay, right.
Like all full circle too.
Of course, right. From my uncle telling me about Rakim, me now seeking out Rakim and his music and becoming a fan. And so we go, we rock. And it was a surreal night, to be totally honest with you, because I performed and we had a record out called Building 8. It's the only record that we had at the time called Building 8. And I remember stepping off the stage, and before I could get off the stage, Evil D like gives me dap and pulls me over to him. And he was like, yo, I didn't know that was your record. We've been playing that on Beat Miners Radio. That shit is dope. Like, we gotta link up. Like, yo, you dope. And I'm like, okay, all right. Now, there's no backstage at SOBs. right? So I'm working my way through the crowd to get to the bar area where my crew is at, right? So I get over to the bar area. You know, New York, maybe you don't know, but New York is funny, right? They'll show some love if they don't know you, but when you come off the stage, like, yo, that was dope. So I'm getting a lot of daps. I'm coming off the stage. First time I met Boogie Blind, he DJ'd for me for that set. I come off the stage and I get to actually before all of that happened, I remember meeting Fat Joe. Right? So I remember meeting Fat Joe, and this was my second time meeting Joe. The first time I met Joe, shout out to Raheem Hill, we were at the Rucker basketball game, right? And I had demos at the time. And I'll never forget, I'm walking into the game, and I see these dudes run past me. It's like, yo, man, Fat Joe over there, we about to get a fucking deal. We gonna rap for him right now. So I turn around, I let them spit their bars, whatever the case may be, whatever. And I give him a CD. And he was like, thank you. And I'm like, nah, that's $10. And he's like, what? I'm like, yo, I bought all your records. This is what I'm out here doing. He's like, yo, Maj, give him 20. Gave me the 20, I gave him the 10 back. It's only 10. That was the first time I met Joe. Fast forward to that, we at the spot. Kenny is talking to Joe like, yo, this is my artist. Telling you the niggas like the next Nas, and Joe looking at me like, what? Like, Nas, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? And so he's like, yo, I'm telling you, my man's nice, whatever. So Joe like, all right, we going to see. Go on stage, I rock. Okay, boom, boom. I'm working my way through the crowd. I get to the back, Pharaoh, OC, Mr. Walt, they all in the back, right? And OG is like, yo, this OC right here. And I mean, I shook his hand, like extended the hand, meet Pharaoh, meet Mr. Walt, boom, it's talking to me, and I'm just like, yo, this is fucking crazy. Like, OC is in my hip hop DNA. Like, I remember stealing cassette. Like when I needed that. I needed that word, like, you know, not the CD, the cassette. You know, Jason McGriff. Peace. Like, I took it, like, I don't think he ever got that back. And it was just like, yo, like, this guy was incredible to me. Like, from, you know, Born to Live, like, just so much. And then I remember for my life in 1997, now I'm coming into my own in 1997, when, you know, the second album comes out, 96, 97, I think it was. And how I'm really finding my voice as a rapper at the time, and how important that, you know, Jewel's album was, you know, to me, you know, and it was just like, yo, like, just crazy. And so, like, our relationship started, we met that day. I don't believe our relationship started until the Trophies album. You know, I had spoken to OG a few times about, and he's like, yo, just call him. And I sent him a few texts or whatever the case may be. But this one particular day, I think the single from the Trophies album had came out. And it was on the radio. And I just was like, yo, the single is dope, whatever the case may be. And he's like, yo, I'm going to hit you back. And he called me back. And then we spoke for a little while. And again, I got like a little nervous. I'm like, yo, I'll hit you back. Because this is O on the phone. And he's telling me how much Future Before Nostalgia had inspired him to do what he did with Apollo. And I'm like, yo, this is fucking crazy. Hang up with him. Trophies comes out. I call him. I had gotten to the water, Nautica, I think, on the album. I'm like, yo, this album is incredible. I'm only like 7 songs in. I couldn't even get past Angels Sing, which is the first record. Like, I played that like 2-3 times in a row. And he's like, yo, when you listen to the whole album, hit me back. So I'm like, all right, bet. I call him later that night. We on the phone for like 2.5, 3 hours. And he's breaking down what he hears in me. He's breaking down his career. He's breaking down the fact that Nas was supposed to be on Illmatic. You know, all these jewels he's given to me. And that was like when I was like, okay. Like, and I remember that night, I was like, yeah, I was going to ask you to be on a record, but I don't feel like, I feel like, because he and I both are fans of boxing. So no matter how good I was in the amateurs, you don't just get the title shot. And he was like, nah, that's for regular rap niggas. You're not a regular rap nigga. Like, we could work. You know what I mean? And I was just like, wow. You know, for O to say that about me was like crazy.
I was standing outside when the gap went off. The nigga pulled up slow and cracked the window, plucked the Dutch.
The next project I'm working on right now is with a producer by the name of The Archetype. It doesn't have a title just yet. He's a producer out of Boston. Again, phenomenal. You know, someone who has, I can't even, like, if I'm being honest with you, like, it's just been like so much going on in the whole process of First Brick, getting to this point of where I am now as an artist, that I found someone and something that really motivates me to elevate myself, to elevate my craft, to find that, like, that new love. You know, like when I listen to it, like I'm just like, I'm a very hard critic on myself, and I'm like amazed every time I listen to it. Just like, wow, like this guy is incredible, and he has provided this canvas for me to use my brush in different ways, you know, so
it's pretty much done then.
Pretty much. Pretty much.
So
What fry for? All my niggas for I point fingers before I turn state, before I start singing. My acapellas is Rockefeller, they worth gold. Whole scriptures in my cerebellum. The book of Eli and Levi's, my Timbs unlaced, my LPs. I pin push weight to Don Cornell, Superfly Ron O'Neal. This is high science. I record in a lab coat. My dope digital streamed and download. I came to conquer, and I'm sponsored by a gunshot. Bang bang, the chain hang and charm glow. Like King Tut, and my mind's like a Brinks truck. And every night's like a highlight reel. I'm where the cameras at, out in Dubai, riding camelback. This from Miramax, made for the big screen. My lines measured, weighed on a triple beam. Narcotics see me stunting on a red carpet. Narcs watch, keep the funds untraced with God's grace. Manipulate sounds and shapes with the cadence of a razor blade cutting through flake. Now bag up.